Hello and welcome to Oversight. I am Charles Emuze. On today's episode of the program, we dig deeper into constituency projects for a clearer understanding of how it works. And then we go to a federal local government area of Ondo State to track an abandoned project. It promises to be exciting. You don't want to miss it.
In 2011, a presidential committee reported the number of abandoned federal government projects in Nigeria were 11,886, and the 20-man assessment committee put an estimated costs of these abandoned projects at 7.78 trillion naira. As at 2017, the Chartered Institute of Project Management of Nigeria, based on their survey, put the number of abandoned projects in the country at 56,000. According to the institute, these abandoned projects were worth 12 trillion naira. The federal government was reported to have paid 2.696 trillion naira to contractors for the projects, leaving a balance of about 5 trillion naira. It's also shocking to know that in November 2019, the ICPC reported that it had uncovered 3.9 billion naira included in the 2019 budget for constituency projects. These funds were not allocated to any specific project or sector.
Since the inception of constituency projects in Nigeria, there have been misinterpretation, misinformation, and judgment of its administration. This and several other factors have painted the hallowed chambers of the National Assembly in bad light. Legislators believe constituency projects are a response to the yearnings of their constituents for development and federal presence. How valid is this? Joining me in the studio is Honorable Ogene Ego to discuss constituency projects, their inner workings, and more. Thank you, Honorable, for joining us.
Thank you, Charles, for having me on this interview.
Let me start by asking, how do we measure constituency projects? How do we measure the costs attached to constituency projects? Are there any metrics to determine the true cost of a constituency project?
Yeah, there are. First of all, constituency projects are novel things that the House negotiated and got government to approve to enable every constituency have a feeling of government paradigm. We have 360 constituencies, and sometimes ministers, the executive arm of government, may put whatever project they have in only about 50 of such constituencies. The remaining one will never be touched. So there are chances that a constituency may be there for 20 years, no single federal government presence. So what I've done is to allow all members have access to constituency projects so that every constituency in the federation has a federal government touch. And that is the aim. As for how this is allocated or aggregated financially, our constituency projects is based on equality of states. And so Lagos State with 24 members, Kano with 24 members, has the same amount of constituency project with Bayelsa, which has, I think, 4 or 5 members, with Nasarawa that has about 4 members, and with states like Ekiti, Niger State, or FCT that has just 2 members. In other words, while the 24 members in Lagos are divided a particular amount, the same amount is what states that has 3, 4, 5, 6 members are also divided. So you find out that when we came in the 8th Assembly, our constituency project was 30 million naira, Lagos State, per member constituency at the House of Rep. Whereas there were some states that were having 250 million and 300 million naira for constituency project. So while we are in the House as equal members, some members have over 250 million naira as their constituency project, while some of us who come from big states are fortunate, we have only 30 million naira. Now it will be raised a little bit now, to close to 50 million for the least state, which is Lagos State, while there are still some states that have over 250 million naira per person. So that's how constituency projects are done.
Honorable, how do you arrive at the amount you allocate to each project?
What you do is when you know what you have, sometimes they send us, some of the agencies send us a range of things. Like SMIDA can send you the various courses they are doing. And some of them will send you a list of items you can buy. Freezer, kekebara, motorcycle, deep freezer. The amount is here. So you divide it by the amount, and you know how many deep freezers you can get for your community. Or if it's grinding machine, you know the amount. If it's sewing machine, you know the amount, because they have already pre-trained you. And when you do that, you put it on that agency. Now, the agency will now advertise the job, and a short due process is followed. So it's not you to nominate the contractor.
There are issues of overinflation of the prices of constituency projects. There are several examples.
What are the examples?
An example is a town hall project somewhere in Ondo State costing about 100 million naira, and a block of 3 classrooms somewhere in Akwa Ibom costing about 40 million naira. How do you respond to this? Why are these projects so expensive?
I'd be surprised if it's a block of classroom or a town hall, the engineers in the ministry would do the costing. It's not you that should do the costing. Engineers will do the costing, and when they cost it, they will now advertise it. And then I don't know the basis they will use to pick the bidder, but they will then pick the person they think probably has the lowest bid and is more technically sound, and his financial bid shows that he can perform. Because sometimes the contractor will use his money before he's paid. So the financial bid is very important. And so when that is done, the ministry takes responsibility.
Our findings show that oftentimes line items for constituency projects are vaguely described, thereby making it difficult to track these projects.
When you say the line items are vaguely described, it's difficult to believe, because when the honorable member puts it, the ministry verifies it. Ministry verifies it. And you may say the honorable member does not have the advantage of the staff the ministry have. But the ministry have staff, they have engineers, they have well-trained people who will be able to say, hey, this is vague. Is it what you mean? Let's put it right. And they will put it right. So it hardly happens where members put things that are vague just to escape doing the thing for his constituency. Don't forget that if what comes to you, you try to play tricks and you don't empower your people with it as it should be, at the end of the day, what happens? At the end of the day, you lose out, because the people will not vote for you, they will not like you again. So as much as possible, a serious honorable member will struggle to even empower his people more than what he has in his pocket.
But why would a legislator nominate a project and not indicate the specific location where it is to be executed?
I don't know of that.
Is this deliberate?
I don't know of that. If a legislator does that, don't forget that this job will be competitively bid for, and they have to follow due process. Now, the people in the ministry, the engineers in the ministry, the people who are in charge of the projects in the ministry, they will notice it and they'll say, there's no address on this. They'll put it because they have to put the address for those bidding to go and look at the place to see if we can do the work for that amount. So I will be surprised if such a thing happens.
Here's an interesting one, sir. Why do legislators find it difficult to provide answers to constituency projects they nominate? When we ask them questions, they are quick to refer us to the MDAs. But upon completion of these projects, these same legislators are quick to take credit for it. How do you respond to this?
Well, I don't know that, but quite honestly, if a project is done, and some people complain, for instance, you put a road project and it's done and people complain, it's okay. Go to the MDA. They awarded the contract. And they have all the resources, the technical resources. You don't have them. So if you have a complaint, send it to them. They will look at it to see whether the job is done to specification. You don't have the advantage of such resource staffs with you. So there's nothing wrong in saying, go to the MDAs. And there's nothing wrong in honorable member claiming responsibility or claiming glory for what you have done in your constituency. There's nothing wrong.
Let us talk about abandoned projects. Reports have it that there are over 56,000 abandoned projects across the country. Can you tell us some of the reasons why constituency projects are abandoned?
Some of the reasons why some constituency projects could be abandoned, one, is the ambition of the honorable member and the desire to satisfy his people. For instance, like I said, when we had 30 million in our budget, and then you found out that, let's say the road, the major road in your area is bad. It's okay, I want to tie it. If that road costs 120 million, or you have 30 million, you cannot complete it. So at the end of the day, it will be abandoned. But if you are re-elected, of course, you can continue to put money on it until you finish it. But sometimes the honorable member may not be elected. And the new honorable member coming may not be interested in that project. Because we say, if I finish it, I will not take glory for it. And so, project is left. Sometimes you put all your money in the project. And you say, okay, this project will cost 28 million. You put your money in it. And then at the end of the day, federal government releases only 17 million, a lower percentage of the amount. This is probably due to maybe the financial squeeze, price of oil have gone down. So the money federal government was expecting, they did not realize it. And then, of course, they give you a lower amount. And then the money cannot finish the project. But you'll be hoping that when another cycle, another year comes, you will do it. But if there are election years, if election year is the next year, and the person loses the election.
So, how do we check things like this to ensure that they do not reoccur, or at least we reduce them to bare minimum?
It will be left to the executive arm of government, for the engineers to say, hey, this project, what is in the budget cannot do it. Therefore, we advise that you take another project. Or if it's a road of 2 kilometers, we will say, just do a quarter of it. Do the road, do the drainage for the quarter. When people see it, they will say, they did not finish this road. But you know that the money that was released can only do 1/4 of it. And you've done it. Maybe another government, another member who comes, or even the local government of the state or the federal may complete the balance. But you've done what the funds that are available can do for you, So these are some of the issues that makes projects to be abandoned.
You've talked about lack of continuity and lack of funding as some of the reasons why constituency projects are abandoned. Will the National Assembly consider reviewing constituency projects such that in an election year, legislators are not allowed to nominate any constituency projects? With this, it will probably help to reduce abandoned projects across the country.
Yeah, but if you do that, it shows that for that year there will be no constituency project, because those who will come get elected the next year, that before the what they will put will be for another year. So there will be a vacuum of 1 year. Now, the amount that is allocated in the National Assembly to help the various constituencies, what do you do with it? I think what we need to do is for the MDAs to guide the honorable members. If you put a project, they will say, this project, the way we see it, the money cannot do it. Or you don't make enough allowance for inflation. Or price of things have gone, at the time of award, they say price of things have gone up. So if you've said you are going to buy 20 sewing machines, are going to buy 20 deep freezers, 20 generators before, and they see the price have gone up, of course, they can say, okay, instead of buy 20, buy 10, buy 50. So it's still in the hands of the MD because they award the contracts and they have the technical capability to do this. Honorable members are just politicians who are desirous of satisfying their constituency, making their constituency happy. And so for them, they can put anything in it because they want more things to be done for their constituency. But if their desire to satisfy the constituency is not matched by the resources on ground. Of course, the MDAs, the ministry should be able to advise to say, look, we know you want your people to be happy, but the resources available can only do this. When they do that, then of course they will not abandon projects.
Thank you, Honorable Ogene, for joining us, sir.
I'm honored to be your guest once more. Thank you, Charles.
Honorable Ogene Ego is a member of the House of Representatives. He represents Amuwodofi Federal Constituency, Lagos. We'll take a short break and we'll be right back. Please stay with us. Welcome back. The lack of continuity has been cited as one of the reasons why constituency projects are abandoned across the country. Every election year, 2011, 2015, and 2019, this notion is further emphasized by the increase in number of abandoned projects we have seen. In 2019 alone, there were over 200 newly elected legislators that got into the National Assembly. What does this mean for the constituency projects nominated by their predecessors, especially in 2019? Another wastage of public funds? Let us go to a federal local government area of Ondo State to track a constituency project. This project was for the construction of a police station with perimeter fencing, and it cost 23.7 million naira. As is our tradition, this is what you need to know about Ondo State.
Ondo is a state in southwestern Nigeria, created in February 1976 from the former Western State. Ondo State borders Ekiti State to the north, Kogi to the northeast, Edo to the east, Delta State to the southwest. Ondo State is one of the oil-producing states in Nigeria. It has the second largest bitumen deposit in the world. Also, it has one of the largest natural gas deposits. Ondo State is the largest producer of cocoa in Nigeria. It has 18 local government areas and 3 senatorial districts, namely Ondo North, Ondo South, and Ondo Central. Ondo State has 9 members in the House of Representatives and 3 senators. In 2021, Ondo State received a total allocation of 2.48 billion naira from zonal intervention projects known as constituency projects. Ero is an agrarian community in the Fedore local government area of Ondo State. It is located about 20 kilometers from Akure, the Ondo State capital, and densely populated with about 30,000 residents. Members of the community are worried about the safety of their lives, goods and services. There is just one policeman stationed in Ero, and he only visits on some days.
Nǹkan tí mo rí tí ìdojúkọ ìlú Ero kò sí security. Tí security bá wà, pé wọ́n jí ewúrẹ́, pé wọ́n jí nǹkan kan kò ní síbẹ̀. Ọkàn ìlú Ero ò balẹ̀ nítorí pé kò sí security ńbẹ̀. Òun la ṣe nídìí police station. Wípé ká bẹ ìjọba kó ràn wá lọ́wọ́ láti bá wa tú police station ṣe. Kán bá kó àwọn ọlọ́pàá síbẹ̀. Tí ọlọ́pàá bá wà ńbẹ̀, wípé olè ń wọlé lọ́gànjọ́ òru, wọ́n kó wa ní nǹkan ọrọ̀ ajé lọ kò ní síbẹ̀. Tó bá ní nǹkan kan tó ṣẹlẹ̀, wọ́n á pè wọ́n á jáde sí wa.
We have been facing a lot of challenge from this community concerning security side. Therefore, there is a police station in this community before. Maybe due to the problem of infrastructure. Therefore, the state have already quit the police officer from that area. But 2 or 6 years ago, there's one man called Honorable Bamidele, one of the honorable from the House of Representatives from this community. He now assists us to bring this project to this area. But that time they didn't implement the project. But during this current House of Assembly, this small Alaji. He now started the project last year. But then, he started the project, maybe that should be December 2019, exactly. But he started the project, the Commissioner of Police said that the police is not up to the standard of the police station to build for this community. Because the population of this community is up to 35. And we have a higher institution here, College of Education, 35,000 people. Therefore, we have a College of Education here, and any place that is a College of any institution that should be crammed there. A lot of many people will commit a crime. Therefore, we start the project then. But since then, they didn't do anything about it until you can see it now. Therefore, the only thing we are now urge the federal government to assist us to complete the project for us.
Martins is a project tracking officer for budget in Ondo State. He gives us a background of this police station project.
This project was, the amount was 23.7 million naira, and the project was nominated by Honorable Baderiwa in 2019. And the project started 2020. But the project was not completed till now that we are talking to you. Actually, I've had a meeting, which is town hall meeting with the traditional ruler, the late KBC of Ero community and some of the chiefs in that community to discuss the issue of the police stations. And they told me why they need this police station in that Ero community as because they are facing a lot of challenges in that community in terms of burglary, theft, and stealing of their goats and cocoa produce, and a lot of things that the menace and the criminals are doing in that environment, which they need the presence of police and the security personnel in that environment to curb such menace. And then for us not to forget that that Ero community has a college of education, which involve a lot of students from different parts of the country coming into that place to school. And then in that arena, a lot of people that have different backgrounds also come to that school, and then which they are also penetrating, doing some things that is not good in that environment. That was part of the reason that they said they need the security in that area. And then since the former Honorable, which is Honorable Baderiwa, who nominated that project, was not re-elected again into that office. But the new Honorable that's in that office now, as of rep, we are using this medium to tell him to help this community to finish this project, because this project, it is good as what we are facing presently in this country, that insecurity is ravaging the country, and then the entire Southwest, and also in Ondo State. And then I believe that if there is a presence of that police station and the police people in that arena, it will curb the menace of all this insecurity that we are having presently in this our assets.
The project was nominated by Honorable Baderiwa Bamidele, and the agency responsible for it is the National Refugees Commission under the office of the Secretary General of the Federation. Honorable Baderiwa did not get re-elected, and Ero community is now represented by Honorable Tajuddin Adefisoye. We reached out to Honorable Tajuddin about this project. This is what he told us.
This project is, I think, it's 2019 ZIP project, and the federal government released 50% implementation, and like as a new member, I also have so many projects in other places in here in this federal constituency. You know, I have 7 aside in Idore. I have school projects in Iro. I have the ICT center. I have skill acquisition centers, and it's been 3 months now that have been outside the constituency. So when I came in, I decided to disperse some of my projects, the projects in Ilara, the projects in Igbaroke, and this particular project. So I'll be using my personal funds, to finish up this project, and I can assure the people of Iro that in a month's time we should be commissioning this project. So I think it's 50% completed, and I don't really believe in abandoned projects. So I am going to be using my personal funds to complete this project. I represent the people, and I want the best for my people.
This is good news for the people of Iro community. Their elected representative has promised to complete the project within a month. We at Oversight on Channels Television will monitor developments and keep our viewers posted. The Iro Police Station project again re-emphasizes the need for a review of the execution of constituency projects, especially within election years, and the significance of ensuring continuity of project when there is a change of baton between legislators.
Well, this is the much we can take on today's episode of the program. We urge you to continue to play your part. Get involved and ask questions. Till I come your way again, I'm Charles Emuze. Thank you for watching.